Hello, welcome to the Set Lifting Report. Today we're going to be covering Miss Lena's. Uh, we're covering a letter from CAIR to the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and I'm going to give my response. So we're switching critical thinking versus Sharia, and we're taking that same mindset, and we're applying this mindset to this letter because there's a lot of propaganda in this letter and there's a lot of foolishness, and you're going to see how it seems very similar to Sharia. The roundabout speak, it's a very, very sad thing. But again, as this is a Christian show, I like to start with a reading from God's word. Today we are reading John 9 verses 1 to 7. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither has this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night comes when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle. And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. And he said unto him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which by interpretation sent. He went his way, therefore, and washed, and came seeing. Jesus was rejected by the Pharisees and scribes in the temple, who did take up stones to kill him. How would you react after that situation, having done no wrong? Would you be angry? Would you walk with your head down, not caring where you're going? Would you be walking with care, watching to see who is following? I know I would. Verse 1 tells us that Jesus and his disciples see a man blind from his birth, likely placed near the temple so that he might receive more money begging. But how did they know he was blind? The man was likely sitting or standing with a sign that declared he was blind from birth. The disciples of Christ dare to ask that difficult question: who sinned that he was born blind? These are the men that follow Jesus, yet they ask what a child may ask of their parents at the wrong time, at the wrong place. They ask it in front of this man. But who better to answer the question than the Messiah, who is God in the flesh? These students of Christ have seen his compassion. They've seen him heal. They likely thought that Jesus would not walk past him without healing him. So that was the only time they could ask this difficult question. Jesus' answer that no one sinned to cause them this is not what they expected. He continued, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. Notice here that Jesus was not stating he was born this way so I can heal him. Instead, this was a statement that even those born with disabilities are born so that the works of God should be seen within them. Jesus turned this into an object lesson on what the works of God are. He spoke of himself doing the works of God while he was with them. He spoke of being the light of the world. Matthew Henry caught the importance of these words and the immediate move to heal. He said he was blind and had been from his birth. If the light is sweet, how melancholy must it needs be for a man all his days to eat in darkness. He that is blind has no enjoyment of the light, but he that is born blind has no idea of it. Methinks such a one would give a great deal to have his curiosity satisfied with but one day's sight of light and colors, shape and figures, though he were never to see them more. Jesus then heals the man who had no understanding of what light is. This is a powerful move because Jesus has been rejected by those within the temple for saying he's God. Then he heals one not very far away from those doors. And then the healing is one whom the locals will testify was blind from birth. There's no disputing what happened by calling it a fake miracle. Jesus declared himself the light, and granting the ability to see the light is a demonstration of his authority as the Son of God. Think on this passage and ask yourself, how are you manifesting the works of God? I've been working on John, as you can see, and this is pretty powerful, at least to me. Um, I'm amazed what God is doing. So I'm going to share with you the, the stuff I've been writing and working on. This here, we're going to be talking about this letter. And we're going to be going through it. It's pretty harsh. Now, I'm going to read some of this to you and then I'm going to show some of it to you. So that's how we're going to kind of go a little back and forth. So let's do this. We'll switch this over here. No, I'll just read beginning. Okay. August 14th, 2025. Lena Masri, the General Counsel and National Litigation Director of CAIR, the Council on American-Islamic Relations, wrote a letter to the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, bemoaning that the Muslim Brotherhood is being discussed as being named a terrorist organization. Whoa, why are they upset about the Muslim Brotherhood being named? Well, let's think about this. Let's read that letter, and we will get right to it. Just a second. And I will show you the next piece here. Just a second. There we go. This is what she wrote. And there's serious problems with this letter. All right, right from CAIR. First of all, they're using God to mean Allah. Not the same thing. This is propaganda. Okay? In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, there's no compassion towards non-Muslims. So this is deceit. Even before they even start to write the letter. Again, addressed to Senator Marco Rubio. We write on behalf of the Council on American-Islamic Relations to ask that you clarify comments you appeared to make about our civil rights organization during an August 12, 2025 interview with Sid Rosenberg, a radio host with a history of making racist remarks comparing Black women to animals. I am not very familiar with Sid Rosenberg. I'm just kind of shocked that it says that. Now, if you come down here, they're citing, they're actually, citing an interview. They don't cite any proof that this man has said anything racist before, which I find interesting. They're just citing the interview. So they don't have proof of their statement here. This, again, is interesting that they're setting up, a precedent. I should say this is one woman. She's supposed to be a lawyer for this organization, and she's making herself look bad in the first paragraph. During her interview, she writes, with Mr. Rosenberg, he turned his bigotry, again, they haven't established any bigotry, all right, against the American Muslim community by, again, this woman starting with bias. As an attorney, you have to build a case. She hasn't built her case. She's beginning with the conclusion. That's called, this is really bad work. I would, it makes me question if she actually is an attorney, because most people who are lawyers build their case. They'll write a long letter rather than start with a conclusion. This person has started with a conclusion and working around. We call that circular reasoning. All right, this is very, very bad. Very, very bad. She said bigotry against the Muslim community by pressing you to validate the Muslim Brotherhood conspiracy theory that has been weaponized to smear every major American Muslim organization in recent decades. I am guessing I would also be accused of this because of my book, Civilization Jihad and the Myth of Modern Islam. Read the book. It's highly cited. I've had people read this and say it should be taught in colleges. So, if you do the research, you find out there's good reason for the Muslim Brotherhood to be considered a terrorist entity. We're going to be talking about that, but according to our laws, this is extremely difficult. I have a solution for this. We'll talk about that if we got time for that today. I don't think we need to declare them a terrorist entity. We just simply need to recognize they declared war on us. And that's that. If we have time for that, we'll do that. We'll continue this. She writes, Mr. Rosenberg specifically asked whether the State Department would designate the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR as terrorist organizations. He added, maybe not CAIR just yet, but certainly the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, this to me seems like the fact that he said this almost seems like a planted question by CAIR. Why would he mention CAIR separately? All right. There's a good question for this. Good reason for this question. In response, you said, we're talking about Marco Rubio, all of that is in the works. And noted the legal challenges involved. Now they moved from making a direct quote to, so why did they do this? Again, and noted the legal challenges involved in making such designations against American organizations. Oh, legal challenges. Is there a legal challenge? Let's think about this. You have to prove they are a terrorist organization. You do that. You designate them terrorist group. We've done that to our State Department has done it. Our Treasury Department has done it. This has been done for 2 decades, 3 decades. Oh, actually, we could go all the way back to Clinton's day. Yes. So this isn't hard to do. It's not that all you have to have is the proof. All right. She writes, your response, whether intentional or not, appeared to raise the possibility that the State Department is trying to find ways to weaponize federal terrorism laws against CAIR and other American Muslim institutions based on a debunked conspiracy theory. Oh, let's use these words, conspiracy theory. What are we saying here? Conspiracy theory. If this is conspiracy theory, who was the conspiracy created by? We're going to talk about that. Again, this is supposed to be information, a letter written by a lawyer. It's very circular in its reasoning. It's hiding information. Notice she doesn't give us a source for debunked. There's nothing there. Oh, so what does she have? No proof? Yet she's claiming, and she's putting citations in weird places. And this is supposed to be a lawyer. I really question her ability to be a lawyer. She might know what a 501c3 is, as she states below, but has she proven that she can even write an academic paper? Because if you're starting with circular reasoning, you're getting an F in an average college class. I'm questioning right now if this woman has a bachelor's degree, because you teach in a college level, you teach these kids, A plus, you go to A, then you have premise A, premise B, and then premise C, and then you get a conclusion. All right. She started with she started with a conclusion, and she's building backwards. This is insane. In fact, she has no proof of any of her claims in this letter. Now, I've only read the first page. Take a look here. This to me is very, very interesting. So she gave a citation which didn't back herself up. Okay, she writes the Global Muslim Brotherhood conspiracy. And who does she cite? The Bridges Initiative at Georgetown University, which is a known, this is a known Muslim Brotherhood affiliate. This is talked about. This organization, sponsored in part by Georgetown University, is also a reason for them to lose their 501c3 IRS status. because they put out propaganda, purposely false information. This is what I would tell you, purposely false information. I'll prove it. I'll prove that today. Okay, that's the first page. This gets interesting. It says the CAIR was founded in 1994 and now has 25 affiliate chapters nationwide. What does that have to do with, so they're big, or they think they're big. Only 25 affiliated chapters? There's 50 states. What if there's more than, are you covering every state or not? Why? So you've got to start asking yourself questions. Is this a big group or is it not? They are pretending at being big, is what I read this. Over 500 board and staff members. Well, someone has money. That's all I get out of this. 500 staff members. Well, you can employ a lot of people across the country. Our mission is to enhance the public's understanding of Islam. This is important to grasp. What are they trying to do here? I'm saying it's very, very important to understand. That's it. That's their goal. You notice this? Public's understanding of Islam. That's their mission. It's not civil rights. They just said their mission is to enhance the public understanding. That's the first part. They do say protect civil rights. But if you study Islam, there's no civil rights in Islam. You can go to any Islamic country. They have no understanding of civil rights. Promote justice. Oh, justice. Where do we hear that word? Oh, that comes from the Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah, they tend to name their groups, they use the word justice quite a lot. That's where things get interesting. Empower American Muslims. Who else does that? The Muslim Brotherhood. So even in this paragraph, first paragraph on the next page, they have given us many reasons to assume a relationship with the Muslim Brotherhood. And this is a lawyer trying to write a letter to say, don't do this. You have to sit there and wonder what's going on. I'm going to stop for now reading this, but I want to show you the insanity of how this goes. Let's see. These are all sources by CAIR. All right, you have CAIR.com here. Over here we have dispelling rumors about CAIR. Oh, it's by CAIR. Okay. See, CAIR reaffirms condemnation of October 7th. Oh, it's by CAIR. If you need to read some of these, you might be really surprised about what they're really thinking. Here again, we have CAIR. They're citing themselves. When you cite yourself, you have no proof. You have hot air. That's all you have. I can probably get away with citing myself, but it makes me look like an idiot. Where is the proof? You don't want to cite yourself, especially when you do academic pieces. This is what makes me question if the person who calls herself an attorney, Lena Masri, really has a master's or a bachelor's or the JD that she would require to have to be the attorney. Because she should know this. Citing yourself is bad business. It makes you look stupid. Makes you look incompetent. But again, this is CAIR. This is standard practice. And this is not good. So let me get into what I'm going to talk about in this. Now, I'm going to share in part of the article that I wrote. And I'm probably looking at it now, and I might have to do the joy of looking at things. Sometimes you see corrections you need to make. But let's get to this letter. This letter by someone who was a legal counsel violates major rules for positing proof of a claim. Foremost amongst them is citing, I should say, her organization, CAIR, as an authority repeatedly, as if they do not have bias on their being listed as a terrorist entity. This is what gets amusing. They're citing themselves. And why are they mentioning themselves? Are they saying, is that not making the claim they are Muslim Brotherhood? It's going to get deeper. It's a lot worse. The Council on American-Islamic Relations, CAIR, was formed due to the Islamic Association of Palestine, IAP, being accused of financing Hamas after an American teen was murdered in a Hamas terrorist attack in Israel. David Boehm, a 17-year-old American citizen who was a yeshiva student in Israel, was killed by Hamas. IAP was alleged to have funneled money to Hamas, a U.S. designated terrorist entity. President Clinton declared Hamas the terrorist entity. A Democrat did that. This is actually important. So that happened under Clinton. The terrorist, Hamas got themselves declared a terrorist entity. So you think about, when was Clinton president? Oh, this is pretty far back when you start thinking about it. This is before George W. Bush, and George W. comes on the scene in 2001. And then Clinton served 8 years before. That's where this starts to get interesting. So all this time, before 2001, you just think about all this time that this has happened. And IAP is actively involved in raising finances for Hamas. It's not like they didn't know they were helping a terrorist entity. Oh, so they get sued and they lose in 2008. The family wins. The appellate court upheld a $156 million judgment against the Islamic Association of Palestine and 2 other Islamic charities. With the damage done to the IAP, the organization was disbanded. Oh, disbanded? Let's think about that. So where did the money go? Start asking yourself that. That becomes very important. I suggest, if you want to learn more about where that money went, one of the sources you can go to is the Investigative Project .org, and that is the Investigative Project on Terrorism. It's an outstanding group. Some people call them IPT. Outstanding work. And what they have that most people don't, they have the court documents. So this is where things get interesting. So I put in here a lot of hyperlinks. These are hyperlinks. They go to articles and they go to court documents. With the damage done, again, disbanded, and has now been reformed into what is the Council for American-Islamic Relations. So the Boehm family should sue this group, CAIR. I don't know why they haven't or if they have, but to me, there's no reason why they shouldn't sue them. And you'll see exactly why I'm saying this. Again, this case went through appeals. The Islamic Association of Palestine finally lost big in 2004. Okay, that was the original. I got to reorder that. I just caught by error. I'm going to put this back up here. The joy of making your own mistakes and catching them a little bit late. All right. So the 2004 and the lawsuit was won, and 2008. All right. Court upheld. Okay. Were the damage done to IAP disbanded and reformed? IAP was dissolved in 1994. Why? Because they were losing. This is why they should have automatically named CAIR. Oh, 185 million was not close to paid to this family for the murder of their son. Now, let's talk about the original officers. Let's see. IAP President Omar Ahmad. CAIR President 1994. Omar Ahmad. Oh. Rafiq Jabbar. Chicago Chapter President. And CAIR Vice President. Oh, Rafiq Jabbar. Oh. Okay. Nihad Awad, Public Relations Director. What's he get a job at CAIR doing? Oh, he's Secretary Treasurer. Ibrahim Hooper, he was an aide to Nihad Awad. He now becomes the Communications Director. Oh! You're seeing some of these same officers appear in this reorganization. Now, the truth is, businesses will fold, reorganize, and do the exact same thing under a new name. This is done for bankruptcy purposes. Now start asking yourself, did IAP declare bankruptcy? That's a good question to ask. Did they follow all those steps? And that's what has to be examined. Because what we're seeing here are reasons to investigate. But there's a lot worse things here. All right. The relationship between IAP and Hamas was established by the Muslim Brotherhood. Sorry, the relationship between IAP and Hamas was established by the Muslim Brotherhood in America. This has been proven in courts. Here's an example. And this right here is a court document. Just get back to the right place here so I can see that you're seeing what I see. All right. Now you see it's all written down in Arabic. You can see this is a court document. It's a government exhibit, and it's all written in Arabic. But there is an English translation. Oh, the Central Committee. All right. This is the Palestine Committee. And the general guide, it's caused with the Muslim Brotherhood movement. So are you seeing reasons why CAIR is scared? Oh, Nihad Awad is going to be in this meeting that they're going to be talking about. All right. This is quite interesting. Again, this was presented, and proof of this relationship existed in this trial. Okay, let's go back. Oh, you didn't see that, so let me just fix this so you can see what I'm looking at. Apparently, I didn't share very well. Here we go. All right, so this is the Arabic, and I'll show the top stamp. This is the English translation, the Arabic. And you'll see the court stamp. Sorry, I didn't show that to you originally. All right, so this is a court document. Everybody can see this. This is something anybody can get just doing good research. All right, you can find this at the investigative project, this information. All right, this is important to understand that this is not hard to find. It's all public information. All right, I'm not showing you anything secretive. Again, this was a court. This is evidence shown in court. All right, this goes out to 1991. So we're going to go back to the article I was sharing. And this is the things we have to look at. Okay, Nihad Awad, the current leader of CAIR, was present during the planning session as stated in this document. All right. This establishes a new problem. If CAIR is the new IAP, this means that CAIR would be immediately disbanded if the Muslim Brotherhood is declared a terrorist entity. Well, Nihad Awad was there. And they were talking about being, taking directions from the Supreme Guide of the Muslim Brotherhood. Oh, and he's involved in the Islamic Association of Palestine, which, okay, now then Islamic Association of Palestine disappears and CAIR gets created and he's still with CAIR. Start having your eyes open. Well, how did CAIR get created? Here we go. CAIR was created with seed money from the Holy Land Foundation for Relief and Development. Now, the largest terrorism financing trial of the United States found the Holy Land Foundation and Development guilty of financing Hamas. Wait. If they're financing Hamas, why did they issue a check to CAIR? Are they saying CAIR is Hamas in America? These are questions you need to start asking. Why would they, who finance Hamas, that's what they're found guilty of in a court of law, finance CAIR? Did they see this as just another chapter? These are things you need to think about. I mean, there was 2 trials. This is one of the things you need to understand for this. The first trial, it ended on a mistrial after 19 days of deliberations, and this happened. This trial died on October 22nd, 2007. The mistrial allowed for a second trial to come along in 2008. Eventually, even throughout the first trial, the FBI had maintained some sort of relationship with CAIR, but they knew it was CAIR had been classified as an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorism finance trial the United States had ever known. They saw the new trial coming and had been direct. Now, they saw this, and then the new trial is coming, and you know what they do? They stop, because now they're sharing everything the FBI has. They're giving them the Palestine Committee document that I just showed you. Oh, so the FBI is now pulling out all the stops, all the stuff that they have been documenting, and they have everything tied together. Now it's 2008, and they lose. They call HLF or Holy Land Foundation. They lose big, and all the leadership goes to jail on terrorism-related charges, terrorism supporting, financing charges. They saw this, so the FBI jumps out. All right, they jump out, and this is extremely important to understand. On October 8th, the FBI special agent in charge James Finch wrote a letter to CAIR expressing an end to the relationship that they had when the FBI had previously agreed to participate in a Muslim community outreach program. That's interesting. Now let's take a look at this one. And I'll pull this over here. This gets really, really interesting. Let me just enlarge this a bit and I'll share it. Now this comes from the OIG, the Office of the Inspector General. And let me share this one. All right. So let's take a look. The review of the FBI interactions. Notice the time this is written. See, the reason the review was going on is another problem. Who became president here? 2013. Who knows who's president? It is Barack Obama. Barack Obama and the FBI have been caught basically with their pants down, affiliating with CAIR after they have been told hands off. All right. This is incredibly important because they got a congressional request from the office from OIG to initiate a review and examine the clarity of the FBI's policy and guidance for non-investigative interactions with CAIR. And they violated this over and over and over again. See, in 2008, they developed this policy because of evidence presented during the 2007 trial of the Holy Land Foundation. The evidence of the trial linked CAIR leaders to Hamas, a specially designated terrorist organization, and CAIR was named an unindicted co-conspirator in the case. The policy was intended to significantly restrict the FBI's non-investigative interactions with CAIR and to prevent CAIR from publicly exploiting such contacts with the FBI. Oh, this is the background. This is what I was just telling you. There's a relationship between CAIR and Hamas. Again, it's stated right here by the OIG. This is extremely important. The evidence that the trial linked CAIR leaders to Hamas, a specially designated terrorist organization. Well, now you got to start asking yourself, what's going on? FBI knows this. Why does CAIR exist in the United States presently? And this was written in 2013. As you go through this document, you're going to ask yourself more and more and more questions. But again, think about who was the president. And that should answer some of these questions. Then we're going to go back to the article. Okay. Going through all this. Well, CAIR and its original chairman, Omar Ahmad, were named, again, unindicted co-conspirators in the HLF case. Both Ahmad and CAIR's national director, Nihad Awad, who still leads CAIR, were revealed on government wiretaps as having been active participants in early Hamas-related organizational meetings in the United States. It can be said that the list was published during the original trial on May 29, 2007, and the Fifth Court of Appeals ruled on October 20th, 2010, that publishing the list of unindicted co-conspirators and or joint venturers and the list of the 246 individuals and entities violated due process rights and as such violated the Fifth Amendment. So if you want that, you can go to paulsutliff.com and you can find the link here and take a look at this. You'll be surprised. What this did, the publishing of this list did, was tell, this is wrong in a couple of ways. It told all those people that were on the list they should hire a lawyer. They're probably going to be prosecuted. And strangely, for no unforeseeable reason that I can comprehend, except for influence by a Muslim president, that none of those people were prosecuted. Again, the words are unindicted co-conspirator. They could have had several trials for each of those 246 individuals and entities. And these names would not surprise you because they are all related. Almost 100% of them are related to the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, I'm going to bring up another article before we start this next section. And I'll pull this over here. Make sure everybody can see it. Nope, we gotta go back. All right. Oh, the joys of switching screens. Take a look at this. This comes from New York Post. It was published originally on February 28th. Controversial Muslim charity accused of links to Hamas settles lawsuit rather than disclosing sources of funding. Oh, now think about this. Why is that important? Well, a Muslim lady was suing them because they did not want to reveal their sources of financing. This is quite a statement. See, she had proof, and she was getting sued. So because they sued her, they have a chance for disclosure. And now they've settled a lawsuit rather than exposing who they are, which would cause their closure as having a relationship with a terrorist entity. That is what the implication is here. That is what the article tends to and comes to a conclusion. I mean, just going to read the beginning here. It says a Washington-based Muslim nonprofit, which is one of the largest operating across the United States, agreed this week, again, this was back in March, to settle a case brought by former board member employee rather than open its books to reveal sources of foreign funding. This whole concept of foreign funding is problematic to CAIR. Evidence in past court proceedings shows links between CAIR and both Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. Oh, CAIR Incorporated settled with Lori Soroya Thursday. Again, this was back in March, months after the magistrate judge, David Schultz, ruled any assets owned by the group are all within the scope of permissible discovery as part of the former Minnesota chapter's leader's lawsuit against the controversial Muslim rights group. Oh, wait a minute. I thought they were saying they were a civil rights group and they went and sued a Muslim. She in turn got discovery. And all of a sudden they want to settle because she sued them back and got discovery. What a statement. The Muslim civil rights group sues Muslims. Yes, they've lost a couple times. And the interesting part is one of these cases that we're talking about was solved. The Muslims were assisted suing CAIR by what I would say is their opponent, the Middle East Forum. And we'll get into that at a later time as well. Let's get back to this article, to a part 2 of this article I've been doing. The second part of the article is now up on one of my blogs. This is getting a little more interesting. Now I want to talk about the real reason CAIR attorney Lena Masri doesn't want us to look at the relationship between CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood because their ideologies are identical. The Council on American-Islamic Relations doesn't want us to dig deeper. If we look at what Hamas, the Islamic, when they call themselves in Arabic, is the Islamic Resistance Movement. They have an acronym. They call themselves Hamas for short. That's the Arabic. They believe and attempt to learn why the HLF, its leaders, and the 246 unindicted co-conspirators may hold. This is all a common belief. All of these people hold. And this is what we have to look at. Why are they supporting this group? What do they have in common with this group? And in order to do that, we at least have to look at the Hamas covenant. Again, you can find this part on my blog, paulsutliff.blogspot.com. You'll find all the links. And I've taken this from, this right here, it comes from avalon.law.yale.edu, 20th_century. You'll find this listed there. It's an outstanding source. You can go to Article 1 in the Hamas Covenant. It says the Islamic resistance movements, which is Hamas, the movement's program is Islam. So they consider themselves simply Muslims. Okay. From it, it draws its ideas, ways of thinking, and understanding the universe, life, and man. It resorts to it for judgment in all its conduct. Oh, wait. For judgment in all its conducts and inspired for guidance of its steps. Well, if you have the Quran isn't enough to do this. If you have the Hadiths aren't enough to do this. What are we talking about? Sharia. Let's keep going. The Islamic resistance movement, again, that's Hamas, relationship with the Muslim Brotherhood group. This is what CAIR is scared about. The Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, is one of the wings of the Muslim Brotherhood in Palestine. So Hamas is simply a chapter of the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, you know what also is a chapter of the Muslim Brotherhood? Al-Qaeda. See, the Muslim Brotherhood is the parent organization of every single Islamic terrorist group on the planet today. That's how many fingers they have in the pie. These are all their children. And there's no one who works in intelligence who will deny this. If they deny it, I will tell you they're probably getting paid by someone like Qatar. Maybe like the Brookings Institute. According to the Hamas charter, okay, let's come back up here. The Islamic resistance movement is one of the wings of the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood movement is a universal organization which constitutes the largest Islamic movement in modern times. It's characterized by its deep understanding, accurate comprehension, and its complete embrace of all Islamic concepts of all aspects of life, culture, creed, politics. See, the Hadith can't do this. The Quran can't do this. Sharia is what they're talking about. Again, this is extremely important to understand that just these first two articles in their charter are talking about Sharia being implemented, that they are standing behind Sharia. If you've ever read the Quran, you realize it's a disorganized mess. If you've ever read the Hadith, they're a disorganized mess. You have to be able to put things together. And supposedly, the only place you can find this, if you're Muslim, you know this, is in Sharia. The only place this is supposed to be organized. Well, according to the Hamas charter, it's a Muslim Brotherhood entity. If the Muslim Brotherhood is declared a terrorist entity, that includes all affiliates or organizations construed by its members for the purpose of supporting its goals. This would prove problematic for CAIR, as the wordplay in the first articles are a statement that it draws its ideas, ways of thinking. It's a statement that its guidance is from Sharia, which means, the Sharia just means the word law. So, you meet those people who say Sharia law, they're actually saying law. That's kind of stupid. Article 2 also enforces this by claiming Hamas as a wing of the Muslim Brotherhood. Is characterized, again, I read this part to you. Again, you can't, there's some concepts that don't exist without Sharia. They don't know what to do when they go on Hajj without Sharia. They don't know what to do during Ramadan without Sharia. They don't know how to pray without Sharia. Did you hear that? There's nothing in the Quran. There's nothing in the Hadith to tell them how to pray, but it's in Sharia. As there are 4 Sunni schools of Sharia, the Shafi school, Umdat al-Salik, will be used as a reference, because the Muslim Brotherhood of the United States has endorsed an English translation, the Reliance of the Traveler. That entity in the United States is the International Institute of Islamic Thought, IIIT, as they like to call themselves. This book has both the Arabic and the English translation. Now, this gets interesting. They include this. This is stuff that we've been covering for a couple years, doing this research on Sharia. They accept normalcy today. That's the problematic part. They accept this as normalcy. Normalcy today. Slavery. So you can't get rid of slavery, because if you get rid of slavery, you say, I mean, you're admitting, which everybody knows, Muhammad was a slave trader. In fact, he sold 2 black slaves to buy 1 white slave. Oh. Well, let's take a look at some of these things they hid. You notice here, this is K 4.5. Over here is the Google Translate, and I had this get checked. And you see this red part. It says, in order to buy from them a wanton person. So what do you do? Why you buy? When you're buying a person, you're buying a slave. Down here in the red, it says, if there is a difference between the slave girl and her child before the age of discrimination by selling or giving her a gift, it's invalid. Wait, they're talking about payments, and they're talking about slaves. But as you notice, they didn't translate 4.6. And up here on 4.5, in English, they never mention slavery. Again, they're talking to people who read English. This is supposed to be for Muslims. They don't read Arabic, because the Muslims might leave Islam if they discovered Islam wants Sharia today. And this is why they are so scared, because people will leave Islam if they know this. All right, let's talk about pedophilia. Again, this would be considered normal today if we look at Sharia. All right, pedophilia, E10.3 of Reliance of the Traveler. This is the Shafi school. When a woman who has been made love to performs perfunctory bath, the male's sperm afterwards leaves her vagina, then she must repeat the ghusl if 2 conditions exist. That she is not a child, but rather old enough to have sexual gratification, as it might otherwise be solely her husband's sperm. They're talking about raping a prepubescent girl. And the child is married. This is what they want as normal. Let's look at this one. Non-consent for marriage. Hi, Rad.
Well,
how's it going?
Doing pretty good. We're rushing. We're almost down towards the end. I know this is going to be hard for some people to see, because I'm going through the article, and I wish I had a way to make these pictures bigger in the article online on the blog. But you've been on a lot of the shows with me, and you know that we've been talking about what Sharia wants. Didn't we discuss non-consent for marriage? I mean, the woman doesn't have to consent.
Right. Silence is consent.
And that's exactly what it says here. I'm just going to read it. M3.13. You can see it on the left, but I'm going to read the translation. When the guardian is divided into 2 categories, forced and non-forced. The one who is forced is the father and grandfather. Wait a minute. What does the father and grandfather have to do with forced? How are they forced? Well, they must marry this girl off. Especially if the marriage is for a virgin. Likewise, the master in this case of his female slave in general. Oh, wait. No mention of slave again over here. We're talking about slaves again. They have to hide that. The meaning of forced is that he has the right to marry her without changing her consent. So she can say, no, I married him, and he doesn't have to care. He can marry her. And it says a forced marriage may be carried out without her consent and permission. If she's a virgin, the father or the body may marry her off without her permission. But it's recommended to seek permission, and as you just said, and her permission is silence. And this is the stuff that CAIR agrees with. This is the stuff the Muslim Brotherhood wants in the United States, not just in Muslim countries. They want it all over the world. And this is why I tell people, watch the series we've been doing. And Rad has been here for most of it. It's like, take a look. This is what CAIR doesn't want people to know. We'll go back to that letter in a little bit. How about this one? I know this is rather small. Again, I apologize. Let me see if I can make this any bigger. Is that better? A little bit. Let's try one more. All right. I think that's as big as I can get it. Okay. On the right, it says, it should not be imagined that compatibility is a guide for a person to know what's best when getting married. The father or the grandfather can marry her off without her permission. Yeah. This is they're better suited to judge who is the better match. No, I'll be honest, there are a lot of people in this world who pick lousy mates. And sometimes you wish your children would have picked a better husband or a better wife. But it is their choice. But not according to Islam.
Well, the thing is not about choosing a mate, it's about selling them all. It's
Yeah.
about not even really selling them off for like cash or anything, but selling them off for like trading them like for higher positions in the clan.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how women are to Muslims. And as Daniel Hakachu, my favorite Muslim apologist, likes to say,
the Mr. Pikachu. Yes.
they're just renting the vagina. Pretty much is all they're doing.
And this man has children that he actually said he would marry off when they're 6.
Yep. I have a feeling with all this stuff, talk about divorce rate and women needing the fear of Allah in them to not go to the Kufar judges for divorce law and stuff like that. I have a feeling he's going through a divorce, or is going to be shortly there going through a divorce. Because there is no way this man can say the things he says out and publicly, and be married to a woman who was Harvard educated as well. You know what I mean? They met at Harvard. Okay.
Yeah, and those people who heard him talk about his Harvard education, it's interesting in his arguments. He doesn't seem to understand, logical argumentation, which is one of the things, again, I find problematic. But they had an Oxford grad an Oxford student who got called out the other day by Charlie Kirk. So, yeah, on video, got called out for lying during a debate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I've seen it. Name me one American citizen been deported.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, name one. I'll give you $1,000. No, 1,000 euros. He said.
Yeah. Well, Daniel Hakachu, supposedly, allegedly, graduated from Harvard with a degree in applied physics and a minor in philosophy. I saw a clip of him where he actually says there is no way we could have went to the moon because anybody that has a degree in physics like he does would understand that you cannot slow down fast enough for 24,000 miles per hour or kilometers per second. I'm sorry, 24, which is the speed you need to break Earth's gravity well, is 24,000 kilometers per second, and slow down and land on the moon. And I'm like, wait a second, that's not right. So I
I
actually
understand what he's saying, but at the same time, and he's saying this now. Here's the only problem I'll come up with that he should to say that today is problematic because we have landed items on planets farther away.
right. Well,
So he's dealing with a problem here.
Well, what he's saying, what he's saying is that the Apollo mission, the Apollo main rocket, had to fire its thrusters to accelerate 24,000 kilometers per second for burn time. Okay, to get that acceleration speed, and he's assuming, for some bizarre reason, I don't know why he would assume this, that either one of two things happened. Either one, the Apollo main engine continued that burn, which it did not. It only did a burn for 2 minutes. And two, that even after it completed the burn, it continued at that speed of 24,000 kilometers per second. That is not the case. Earth's gravity well extends even past the moon, but the moon takes over what it's called Lagrange point 1. Okay,
and this is a guy who has, again, you're talking about a guy who claims he has a physics degree and is unaware of these things.
Right. So basically, I actually had to go to the NASA logbook of the Apollo 11 mission and look up, because they logged all their speeds. And basically, so they were coasting through Earth's gravity well, but the gravity well was still pulling on it. Okay? So it's like you shoot up a rocket, and then the rocket cuts off. It's going to go up for a little while, right? Until gravity kind of gets in and pulls it back down. But in this case, they burned so long, it's the square root rule. So every meter that you travel past Earth's gravity well, you slow down by half, but the next meter, it's, you know what I mean? It's going to complete getting halved and halved and halved and halved, okay, as you go along. So eventually, it slowed down. The Apollo mission, right before it reached Lagrange point 1, it was only going at 5,000 meters per second. And then when it passed Lagrange point 1, it actually accelerated to 5,200 meters per second because it was captured by the moon's orbit. And the moon has like no gravity, so they didn't have to slow down for nothing, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they just kind of coasted the orbit. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
and that's the humor, Mister. But you know what they're saying is that people. I'm sorry. They're saying that people who brag about the school they went to sometimes just never graduated from the freshman or sophomore level. So I'm not sure if that's true with Daniel Pikachu, but
well, it just shows you that Harvard is not the university of what it used to be.
Definitely not. I mean, if he did graduate, I'm glad he did, but it makes me wonder.
Oh.
All right. Now, again, these are things that the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR will stand behind because, again, if they're affiliated with CAIR, which is Muslim, again, what the evidence we've shown, and they're pushing Sharia, which is what they want. They want the allowance of Muslims to be able to kill non-Muslims and apostates. This is bad. All right. This says the following are not subject to retaliation. Now, retaliation is the taking of a life in response to a murder, or I should say the taking of another life. All right. They give, okay, understandable exception, a child or an insane person. They're not going to really understand what they did. I get that. All right. But number 2, a Muslim for killing a non-Muslim. Oh, so it's okay for Muslims to kill non-Muslims. Look at number 3. Killing an apostate from Islam is without consequences. Again, this is the stuff that CAIR would have to stand behind if they're Muslim Brotherhood. Oh, and you know what we've learned? They're Muslim Brotherhood. Yes, go look. Don't just look at this stuff I'm providing the links. Go do more research. You will discover the same thing. Muslim parents, what do you see 4 and 5? They'll make you cry. Muslim parents may kill their own children. There's number 4. Father or mother is an exception. They don't get punished for killing their offspring or
All have due
offspring.
to Allah.
Offspring.
All have due to Allah.
Yeah, and I'm saying this is just the short list. Come back and spend time watching more of critical thinking versus Sharia. This is scary, scary stuff. I'm kind of mind numbed. I mean, I have talked for years about the Muslim Brotherhood of North America's explanatory memorandum, which if you're going to paulsutliff.blogspot.com, you can find the link to that. I've been writing about this stuff for over 10 years, probably closer to 15. And these guys, as far as I'm concerned, have no legal right to operate within the United States. Again, as I said earlier, they call themselves a civil rights organization, but under Islam, there's no civil rights. There's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of religion. Go to an Islamic country and tell them you want your civil rights. You might find yourself in jail.
They would say, that is your right, kafir.
Yes, that's exactly it. Because you're saying civil rights, they're going to figure you're a kafir. They'll figure you're stupid or ignorant, or this is just scary, scary stuff. Now, this is just shocking. I mean, when it comes down to I'm going to come back to that, the piece that she wrote. So let me put this back up again and come back to the screen so Rad can see this. This lady, I question the signature of this. Again, she starts out with her conclusion. All right. She's saying everybody's making racist remarks against them. We're smearing the Muslim Brotherhood, validating a Muslim Brotherhood conspiracy theory, and all this stuff. But the part that makes me laugh is this. Look how they cite themselves as if they have no bias on being named. Now let me see if they actually, I think, and they were talking about us calling people bigots, but they have no proof. Here we go. This is, again, part of this. It says, the truth is CAIR is an independent American nonprofit organization that operates in full compliance with federal, state, and local laws. How can you be complying with federal, state, and local laws if, this is going to get interesting, if you won't reveal the foreign sources of funding? Again, look at the year on this, March 1st, 2025. All right. They don't want people to know their sources of funding. How is that? How can you be complying with federal, state, and local laws when you refused that? Would that imply you're violating federal, state? Yes, it does. Rather than prove it. Okay, you had your chance. Now that's all gone. So this is shot. All right, that whole paragraph is garbage. And then it says, since 9/11, the U.S. government has heavily scrutinized nearly every major American Muslim organization, including CAIR. No charges have been filed against us. You notice this part, against us. Has charges been placed? Red, are you a place you can use one of these AI elements?
You want Grok or something? What's up?
Yeah. Could you ask an AI thing? Who within CAIR has been charged with the crime of terrorism?
Searching. Several individuals
Yes.
have faced terrorism trials. Randall Todd Royer, Ismail Royer, Basim Kafad, Rabid Haddad, Gassam Elshi, Abdul Haram Alamundi, Muthamana Al Houthi, Samal Al Arian.
Sammy L. Arian. Okay. Sammy L. Arian is now, he was deported. And he was deported. You know what he's been doing lately? He's been trying to connect with his American friends and trying to make appearances in colleges via the internet, Zoom meeting type thing. Oh, is this reason for parents to be upset? Absolutely. And this is the stuff that bothers me. So, against them personally, no. But against their membership, absolutely. Let's keep going. This funny letter. When the United States Arab Emirates dictatorship blacklisted 80, notice they're calling them human rights. There are no human rights under Islam. Slavery is still permitted. If slavery is still permitted under Islam, are there any human rights? Yeah. Including CAIR. So they blacklisted 80 organizations, including CAIR, because of their support for democracy. What? CAIR has a belief in democracy? I suggest you spend some time listening to Nihad Awad. Please spend some time listening to Nihad Awad. He's a good propagandist, but listen to everything that he's said and done. So spend some time reading those court documents, and you will sit there and laugh. So this is all deceitful propaganda. Again, what did they do? They cited themselves to prove their point. This is the genius. I don't know where she graduated from, but if it's at a prime school, CAIR is losing money. They're paying her way too much. Oh my gosh. A high school kid should know better than to quote themselves. All right. It's just bad news. That is just foolishness. There we go. A former FBI official, whom they never name, in charge of counterterrorism once said, of all the groups, there is probably more suspicion about CAIR. But when you ask people for cold hard facts, you get blank stares. Notice they didn't name them. Okay, look at source number 10. They're citing the New York Times, of all places. I mean, the one place I would never trust is the gray old lady. She ain't gray anymore. She's basically useless. Lena Masri. I'd love to know where she graduated from for her JD. If she did graduate, I mean, she's claiming to be an attorney. I'm curious because this is one of the worst constructed letters I have ever seen. You don't start with conclusions and put premises together to back up your conclusion. It's just, and then she concludes, CAIR plans to continue. Okay, they gave all their premises. Now she's back to the conclusion she started with. CAIR plans to continue opposing all forms of bigotry. All forms? No, they only oppose. They're not helping Jewish people. They're helping those who are anti-Semitic. Oh, and who would that be? The Muslims who take actions against Jews. What does CAIR help? They have helped people who take stands for terrorism. Even before the formation of CAIR, the Islamic Association of Palestine stood with convicted terrorists, people who were going to be convicted of terrorism. And this is highly documented. Again, I enjoy pointing out, go to the Investigative Project on Terrorism. You will find all this information. This is insane that this letter, and I'm going to make sure everybody knows this. This is the lady who wrote this wonderful document that got me a little upset and got me writing. I mean, I've written 2 responses. I have at least 2 more in me to go on this. It's shocking that in that header they have a lie. They use the translation God for Allah. Sorry, that's not the translation. Allah is Allah. He's not the concept of God. No, Allah is just Allah. They did this. It's just bad business, and it's purposeful misinformation. And they're using their Washington D.C. address. This is just bad business. Any comments, Red? All right. This is just I don't know how anyone foolishly. I don't know how anybody can foolishly stand behind this group, especially when they prove themselves inadequate to write a letter. You just got to sit here and wonder what's going on that they can't even write a letter correctly. It's just sad. Something's wrong when they can't even write a letter without starting it with a conclusion. Probably the worst legal letter I've ever read. I don't know. I have read one FOIA letter that was a denial written during Obama's time that was similar, but the person who wrote it was not a lawyer. Hey, Red, have you ever heard of a person going to court and declaring their conclusion and then building their case?
Yeah, it was Muhammad Hijab.
oh, yeah, he would probably be his own lawyer. Are we talking about? No, that would be Kenny who would probably try that.
Or Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny would do that.
Yeah. You just got to sit here and wonder, where is the intelligence responses in this? Love to see Lena Masri respond, because you know what? This is bad. I mean, this, again, I can say this. I taught high school for a long time. The students I had would write a better constructed letter. And the reason I say that is they wouldn't start with their conclusion. Don't practice of business letters and how you would write this. You have to prove your case, then put it in your conclusion. You don't start with your case, and it's just bad information. Any last words, Red? I'm going to close out early.
No, not really. Sorry to join late.
That's all right. I'm glad you did. Appreciate it. Well, God bless everybody. I would usually leave with this is what I say. If everything you're hearing is reason to leave Islam, my suggestion is you do, and then turn to the one God that was willing to lay down his life for you. He came in the form of Jesus, and he lived a life as a human for 33 years. And if you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, I'm just going to recommend you read Luke and John at this point. You will sit there marveling about how Islam can't say anything to what these books, the highly documented, the incredible amount of details that are in these gospels that you can't find anyplace in the hadiths, in the sirahs, because there's just really no details. The Quran has no details. The Hadith, the only one who seems to have details are the Disneyland Tasfir writers. But that's why you need to go to the source. You need to go to the Bible and find the truth. God bless you all. Have a good night, and thank you for listening.